welcome to Amaranth. These are general messages for the collective Sun, Moon, Rising, Venus, and Jupiter placements. Let's get into it. So the first card you have, Taurus, is the Noose. Now further on it says, the Noose card is not about endings, it is about the courage to cut whatever has been strangling you slowly. Whether it's an obligation, a relationship, any belief, or a version of yourself that you have been maintaining for everyone else's comfort. The rope is not around your neck, it is in your hand. And you have always had the scissors. Yeah. So basically, this energy is about more awareness. You know, what are your entanglements? Where do you feel stuck? Are there any habits that you feel bound to? You know, or any kind of situations that constantly scare you, you know? Or are you doing things because you're fearful of something? Or are you feeling obligated towards something? So there is a hidden gift behind this energy. The gift is that you can untie this rope. You can pet it. You know, so it's a moment of consciously recognizing what's holding you back, what's keeping you stuck, and releasing it. So, yeah, below this it says, what binds you can also be unbound by you. So it's basically a card of, you know, feeling free, setting yourself free, liberating yourself by realizing what is, you know, what is holding you back. And getting that control on your life. This is also about, you know, choosing things differently. So I feel the primary element over here is air, which is the, you know, the clarity and the right kind of thoughts, positive thoughts that uplift you. It's also about being aware of your environment, of your own patterns, of your own habits, of your own mental loops, I feel, that, you know, affect you on a day-to-day basis. So these are the knots that you need to untie for yourself here, Taurus. Now, I also feel that you could be feeling some kind of a blockage in your life, you know, and this is also like recognizing where is that blockage, how has it come about, and how can you untug it, how can you, you know, restore the natural flow of things in your life, natural flow of energies in your life. Some of you might be staying stuck in these patterns just out of habit. And, you know, it's like whether it's at work, maybe you're just staying there because you feel like, you know, it brings the money, it's stable, it gives you the security, it feels safe. It might not be something that you want to do or something that fulfills you, but you're stuck there because of other reasons. So, you know, that's just an example. It'll be different for each one of you. But I feel that, you know, for some of you, actually you could be changing up your routines because, you know, you feel that your work day or your schedule is holding you back from pursuing other activities or other things. For some of you, this can also be, you know, in your social circle, friend circle, or, you know, friends and family, neighborhoods, whatever this is, the people that you deal with, you could be looking into that as well. Or maybe it's the kind of life that you live, you know, like your purchases, your lifestyle, those kind of choices, maybe something in regards to that, or maybe in regards to your investments or your finances, where you invest, how you spend. Maybe those patterns are keeping you stuck in some way. So if you are feeling stuck, if you do that analysis and you feel that you're stuck in a certain place or in a certain habit, you know that it's, you know, caused by you, and you can untie yourself from those habits. I also feel that some of you might be trying new things, like, you know, coming out of your older identity. That's some of you. Like, for example, if you've been doing fashion in a certain kind of way, your hairstyling or something, you know, your bags or your shoes, whatever, you might be changing that up. Maybe you are fearful of trying new styles, but now you're like breaking free from that mold. And for Taurus, There is always a push and pull between comfort and change. So I feel some of you might be working towards releasing the older habits. One small step a day will help with the change that you want to make, so that it doesn't make you uncomfortable as well. Now, I also feel that it's a time for you to, grow. It's like an investment in yourself, like to self-growth, self-care, all of that, and upskilling, learning new skills, investing into different kind of assets or diversifying your funds. For some of you, it's a good time to do that. Yeah, but I do feel that a lot of changes are here upon you, because once you've done the, thinking and analysis here, I feel for the most part you're going to make those moves to change things around. So people might see, some kind of changes in personality with you. Now, those, and like those figures like Sylvia Plath and Virginia Woolf, all of those are coming to mind, because is those situations, those people, whose, the work that they wanted to publish, the work that they wanted to do, that was all suppressed, and the voices that they had, the opinions, they were all silenced. So they couldn't really pursue their ambitions or say what they wanted to say, because their voice, their ambitions were literally strangled by, the structures of the past of their era. And that's the kind of energy I feel, like maybe you're unable to pursue something because of the constraints, It's like sometimes our cultural background and, where we come from and all of that kind of defines like what's permissible, what's not. And there's a lot of sometimes, expectations or gender constraints and gender expectations and things like that. Sometimes it feels strangling as well. So I feel this energy is more about identifying those things that have been constricting you, and I feel that you already know that from a long time. You've known that for way too long, but maybe you've not been able to make the change, or you were not, like you were in the denial of it, or you were not just saying it out loud, or you were not, something that you were not ready to say it out loud or agree or admit to yourself. I feel these are those structures. And I feel that, Taurus, it's you that built this noose, It's you that tied the knots, because how else would the knots come about? Somebody has to tie these knots. I feel you tied the knot. So you're the one who's going to untie it. You're the one who's going to cut this out. Because, like when it comes to, its energy similar to the hangman. The only difference between that is, the hangman is suspended, he suspends, the hangman suspends himself for gaining enlightenment and wisdom and different perspectives. This is an external restriction, or, it's something that has suspended you. It's an external pressure, it's an outside pressure. I'm getting a very Saturnian energy out of this, because, Saturn with its ring structure, it's known as a planet that constrains us, that limits us, it provides the structures that bind us. So I feel that, right now, Saturn is currently in Aries, which is your neighbor sign, it's your adjacent to your sign. So I feel that it's kind of, that energy is kind of pressing onto you, Taurus. It's expressing on you to make the change, to make those transitions. Also, I'm picking up an energy of, when we use ropes are used by, for a lot of things. It's used as the dividers, and they're used as markers, they're used to anchor ships and all of that. But, with this nose, I feel that you have constricted yourself in this small space, the small space that this rope has created. So you need to break this so that you can, tap into the vast space that is available for you. You have constricted yourself to the small space. So for the most part, I feel this is like a condition, cultural conditioning. It's a programming that stops us from flying high. And, for the most part, if you see the hearts and the souls, they are all, depicted in the, with wings. Each one of us is born with wings. So why do you choose to crawl through your life? It's these restrictions and that we put on ourselves that it's time for you to change. So in the next few days, Taurus, I feel that you are going to take stock of every structure that you have created in your life, and you're going to be like, is this created by me or is it imposed on me, And structures that you thought or that looked like were permanent, that were causing you stuck, I feel that you are going to break free from that. Keep those only that nourish your soul, nourish you, and release those that hold you back and, suffocate you or constrict you. Now, the other thing I feel with you, Taurus, because, you are the second house energy, earth energy, and ruled by Venus, you're all about stability, security, being, in your comfort zones a lot of times. So, the structures that are imposed on us, it doesn't feel hurtful until a long time, especially for the Taurians. I would say, and like if you wear this news, it feels like a necklace for Taurus. You get used to it. So I feel that now you're starting to feel the weight of it. And that's going to push you to, analyze and release. The next card you have, Taurus, is the Two of Cups. And it further says, breeze the cup, let the armor come down. One piece, the right piece for the right person. Yeah, you see over here, Taurus, there is already a caduceus, which is, caduceus is the energy of healing. Further, if you see, there is the roses, the red roses that are already in bloom. And there are two people, on both sides of the roses that are sharing this cup. So I feel that, but there is like a coming together or a recognition of you recognizing other people and other people recognizing you. I also feel that, over here, if you look at the picture, there is this person in an armor, kind of blue armor. And the girl out here is in green. And it's a very earthy energy, a lot of trees. Yeah, and green is very prominent in the upper half of the picture. And green is the energy of Venus. And the Two of Cups is the energy of Venus in Cancer. So there's a lot of Venusian energy, a lot of Cancerian energy, which is fourth house related, friends, family. And green is, of course, the Venus energy. It's also about growth, genuinity, genuine connections. So I feel that, there is a shared cup over here. And because there is an armor present, there is some kind of a protection of the heart over here. This person is still offering the cup or still sharing this cup from behind the armor. Because they know it's worth the risk. Now, when it comes to risk, if you see the lower half of the picture, I like this deck because it kind of speaks the truth. It's not about wearing rose-tinted glasses, right? It's about knowing both sides of the coin. Like, yeah, there is, since for you it came out in the upright, I would say the predominant energy is about receiving love, giving love, and, connecting with people, genuine connections. But then we cannot ignore the possibility of the lower half of the picture. We have to include both of those because, life and love are not a piece of cake. It comes with, its pros, its cons, its positives, its negatives. So, but in general, it's a positive energy, of exchange, of genuine connections, of respect, of recognition, of recognition of each other. And I also feel that for you, Taurus, you are ruled by Venus, and Moon is exalted in your sign. So there's a lot of Venusian energy over here. And Venus is transiting Taurus. It's transiting your sign. So the energy is very, very strong about, working with people, being open-hearted, and knowing that, yeah, there is possibilities of this, the cup spilling and things going wrong. But then, that's what life is about. We cannot just, predict or project like how it's going to be. But at this point in time, it's, about being open-hearted and connecting with people. And also knowing, the person that is right for you, like the right people to connect with. Now, I also feel that this is also like a kind of coming together of the active and receiving principles, right? It's about doing and receiving at the same time. So having that kind of balance, in your life, and also for the people around you. Yeah, it's kind of a little bit of an element of, fate, or I would say people that are meant to cross paths, are meant to meet. I remember one of my friends telling me that she went for a conference, which she really did not like, but she still, chose to attend it. And when she went there, she got a little bored and was sitting in the corner on a table. And there, another person joined her, and he was also apparently bored of the conference, and they chatted for a bit and they kind of clicked. It was like having a good conversation. And soon after, they kept in touch for a year or two, and then they choose to get married. So it could be that you meet people that you might not like, get married right away, or date right away, but it's just that a recognition that the people that you're connecting with are at the same wavelength or similar wavelength. And the only thing you need to be mindful is that when you extend yourself, make sure that people are aligned, emotionally, spiritually, and all, and having a stronger foundation to grow the connections. It's like it's a meeting of the minds in the right way. And, yes, there is an armor, there is a person that is feeling like defensive and all of that, but then I feel that they're still being open to it. They're still speaking up. So you might hear from people, they might communicate, you might get messages, or something, that will enable connections. I also feel that, this is like the energy I pick up is something that, when the two people are on the same wavelength or connect, in a way that are very kind of effortless, right? That's the kind of connection, because with the caduceus, it's an energy of healing. It's a good, warm, caring presence. Somebody who understands, who can finish your words. And connections like these, they have a potential of like changing our chemistry, our brain chemistry. And it's been proved time and time again by neuroscientists that these connections can actually shift the way we think and our brain chemistry for when we are connected for a long time. Now, I also feel that if this is not about, meeting people or dating people, this can also be with your neighbors, with your friends, coming together for going out together, having lunches, dinners together, just having a good time. That can also be it with the Two of Cups. Or this can be, if you're at a place of work, if you work in a company, this could be your team appreciating you, or you partnering up with people that are on the same wavelength. This can also be your company going through mergers, like, aligning with another company that, has the same goal and objectives. That can be possible as well. Or you could hear things around you where people are coming together in partnerships, working together and working effortlessly. So this could be for some of you. But more so, however, a positive energy of strengthening bonds. This can be you meeting, you interacting with people, maybe across the borders, online, offline, just connecting, having a human-to-human connection, a peer-to-peer connection. And and I feel that let this connection grow organically. If this is some kind of a partnership that's forming, I feel this is something that will grow organically. Nothing of it has to be forced or planned or backup plans or timing. Nothing has to be done in that way. It's going to be effortless and it's going to be reciprocal. For some of you, this could be just, if you're already in partnerships, this can be just coming together and hanging out or, doing the chores together, because it's a very practical energy. You being the Taurus, the earthy sign, this can also be working together, like doing the chores together and having a good time, enjoying that bit as well, like maybe cooking or doing a side gig or side hustle together and just enjoying every bit of it. Not only just the side gig, but also each other's company and also each other's ideas. Or this can be that you're like planning to move in together, purchasing something which is common, having buying something, a house, a car, or some property, something like that, where you get to do with a partner. So for some of you, it could be that. But in general, it's a positive energy of, friends, family coming together, sharing, talking, having a good time, knowing that we are the soul tribe, and being seen, being feeling heard, feeling seen, having genuine connections. Like, you don't have to fake it. There's no fakeness over here, there is like, so I do feel that it's a good time for partnerships, for connections, new connections or older connections, better understanding between them, or doing chores together and just having a good time, So good energy here. And the last card for today, Taurus, you have is a message from Cosmos, and it further says, what is meant for you won't pass by you. You will never have to force something that is truly meant to be. Trust in the perfection of divine timing and allow your life to unfold as it should. Whatever comes, let it come. Whatever goes, let it go. Yeah, being with the flow, and that's also a Two of Cups energy, like, being in the flow of things. And the energy of Venus is all about divine timing, the rewards when it's meant to be, the coming together when it's meant to be. You only have to be honest with yourself, honest with the people around you, and it's also about aligning yourself with what truly matters to you, what you value, versus what you're expected or supposed to want. So you have to, of course, do things with an open eye, not just with your rose-tinted glasses. And I feel that whatever stays is something that will be nourishing, that will be sustainable, because the energy of, you have the Noose, you have the Two of Cups. They're both about liberation, liberating from mindsets and, extending yourself and opening up the space rather than being in the confines. So, Taurus, those were your messages and hope you enjoyed them. Now, moving on to the sign of Virgo. So, the first card you have, Virgo, for today is the Lovers, but it's in the reverse for you. Further down, it says, confusion is the doorway to truth. Choose what aligns with your soul, not just your comfort. So, Virgo, this is a major arcana. This is related to the sign of Gemini, which is like the sign of duality. In the reverse, now let's analyze this picture. Basically, if you see the upper picture, there is like a masculine figure, right, which is like touching this ground, this rocky ground. And of course, it's a dark energy, but there is like a angel, angel of rain clouds or archangel right above this man. And if you see in the picture below, it's quite a contrast. This is like it's a feminine energy. At the bottom of the picture there is a tree. Mostly it's a tree of life, which is for learning wisdom, and also there is a snake, also symbolizes changes and wisdom and instincts. It's our kind of kundalini energy, consciousness, and all of that. So I feel that, and if you see the below picture, this person is giving this apple, and it looks like this person below is giving this apple, which is almost being received by the person above in the above picture. So something, from below is rising above, or is being gifted, or is surfacing up for you, Virgos. You being the earth sign, which are ruled by Mercury, which is like the air energy. So I do feel that in this case for you, because this energy of Lovers is in the reverse, it's ruled by Gemini, which is also an air sign. So I feel that this is like, it's a gift being given to you. It's a rise of instincts, because you're the logical sign. You have lists of pros and cons and all of those balance sheets and spreadsheets. Here, I feel there is something which is coming to the surface, and it's your instincts. So I feel this is a call for aligning with your heart versus analyzing things, like too much analyzing things. And I also feel that while, the air element is about, of course, thoughts and communications and decisions and all of that, but here the earth element is equally present. There is this garden is there, the rocks are there, the snake is there, the tree is there. All of these are earth energies. So I feel that your wisdom, your inner wisdom, your instincts, your inner knowing is going to come to the surface, or it's going to surpass your will to analyze things. Pick first. So I feel that you need to, analyzing is good, but when it comes to decisions or choices that you're going to make, I feel that your body is going to signal to you, your instincts, your inner knowing, your inner wisdom, which comes to with this tree of life. It's the experiences you've had, and all of that is going to be front and center for you. So you will know things, you'll feel things before, you start analyzing it. So you will be feeling things first, and then you will probably get to analyzing it. Because, sometimes what happens is when we analyze too much, all the time, we kind of close the door to opportunities. We miss the windows, in which those options and choices were available to us. And I feel that with this major arcana coming, it comes up when You spent months analyzing a certain situation, and I feel that you just did not realize it. You probably did not look or feel or realize or understand or figure out or find a finger on it or put a finger on it for a few weeks or months now. So there has been a situation that maybe you're overanalyzing. All you needed to do was just feel through it. So I do feel that, whatever you're feeling in your heart, the truth that you've been avoiding or analyzing or overanalyzing is now coming to the surface. And I feel that whatever comes to the surface, whatever that feeling or that sentiment or that acknowledgement is, it will help you to make a better choice, which is aligned with your heart. It's kind of a gift offering. Look at the woman in the bottom picture, she's offering that heart or that berry, whatever that is, a fruit, to the person in the picture above. So you've been confused, you've been very, you've been cautious, you've been guarded, you've been discerning, you've been unable to decide, or whatever be the case, you've been procrastinating. But, I feel that you're now tapping into your depth of your heart, of your wisdom, and making choices, from things that your body, your heart, your soul, your inner knowing has, rather than, just on paper. Sometimes we say things look better on paper than the reality. Here it is the same case, it's like a different thing, which might have not looked good on paper, but is actually good for you, or you're choosing that now. So I do feel this is a new start, a new initiation. It's not any, fly-by-night or kind of just a fly-by-night pull or kind of allure or something, or illusion. I don't think so, because it's in the reverse. I feel this is like an initiation into something more sustainable, more sensible. I feel you have had enough in a certain situation, Virgo. So I feel that maybe you are listening to some opinions, maybe some higher-ups or authority or somebody, some kind of a structure that was actually guiding you or making choices for you. It could be at work, it could be at home, family, whatever that is. So external voices are probably now dissolving, or external pressure or is fading away. Because the choices that now you are making are going to be from the heart. They're very genuine. They align with you, very authentic. These choices are going to be, more like sound choices, because you have our data on the table. It's not the choice that looked right. It's the choice that is right. I do feel a lot of Gemini, and a lot of, expansion, because right now Jupiter is in Gemini, and I feel that that's like kind of an air sign. I feel that, your capacity to think is growing. To think and align yourself, or to think through, I feel, difficult, complex decisions that you need to make, or, and I feel that aligning with that complicated situation is something that is, favored for you right now. And, now this could be in any area of your life. It could be work, it could be your personal life, it could be in regards to your partnerships, people that you connect with. But I feel that, I read a lot of articles about this, Virgos, like not just for you Virgos in general. I have read a lot of articles about this. And, when we make decisions, especially in regards to the people around us, our relationship or partnership, when we intuitively come to it, decisions, or, the actions that we take when we know it, when our body knows it, when we instinctively or intuitively feel something, for the most part, that comes out much stronger than, analyzing things. Because our body, it taps into our ancient wisdom, the inner knowing, our soul's knowing, which cannot be documented. So I do feel that this energy is kind of aligning you with your soul's purpose, with your authentic self. Like, what do you want, instead of what others want from you? And you're rising to that. So I do feel that in the next few days or weeks, you will be more, more clear about things because of what you feel. And I feel that you're not going to waste any more time because you've already overanalyzed a certain situation. You've delayed things, whether it's business partnerships or personal partnerships. And maybe you've been feeling a kind of like a soul thread attached to a certain situation, but maybe you were like, waiting for that perfect moment or perfect party and things like that. So that could be it for some of you. Now, I also feel that even your business decisions or your professional, any kind of, choices or decisions that you have to make in regards to your work, whether it's your business, whether it's your job, career, whatever that is, you're aligning yourself with the right choices or right companies or right, the fields, like what do you want to choose, like which company, which team, and all of that. I feel that you are now aligning with the right company, or, you're choosing where your heart is going versus what makes sense on people. The next card you have, Virgos, is the knife. And over here, if you see, there is like a pocket knife kind of a thing, which looks like very, very sharp, very precise, very clean. Now, the knife energy is related to the air element. And for Virgos, you are ruled by Mercury, so it's very up to your energy. And it's not about harm. The knife does not mean any kind of harm, but it just means that cutting through the illusions, just like the Ace of Swords. This is an Ace of Swords moment. Instead, Ace of Swords is like a big sword. Here, it's a small knife. So with smaller knives, it's more about the precision, the timing. Like you can't cut vegetables with a sword. You need the knife for that. They say the pen is mightier than the sword. This knife is like a pen over here. Because it's for getting the clarity. It's for cutting through the illusions. It's for having those honest conversations. It's for making crisp, clear decisions. It's for cutting through things, or, ending things that create more powerful, more authentic, meaningful beginnings. So basically, it's like removing things that are not working for you, that are not aligning with you, doing it cleanly, doing it swiftly, doing it with a lot of wisdom, to communication, understanding that it needs to go. Because again, you're a 6,000 energy. Virgo energy is more about analyzing things and making precise, accurate, perfect decisions. And I feel this aligns with that. So there is kind of an element of truth coming to surface. And there's logic, there's thoughts, there's processing these decisions, there's being fair and square. This is also about having the clarity and justice, bringing the justice to situations. Using your sharp razor, like clarity and understanding, not by being harsh. This is not about damaging things. So you have to be very mindful of the words that you're using. You have to do it calmly. You have to do it compassionately. It's not about causing any kind of damage or harm. That's the thing about knives. And, yeah, of course, if you need to remove any kind of negative elements, energies, releasing things. It needs to be done, but or whether it's even your habits, cutting out habits or cutting out distractions and organizing your life. This could be about, if you're in a company, maybe cutting out the budgets or processes. And, or it could be at your house, decluttering, cutting out clutter and stuff that you don't need and things like that. So it can also be your portfolios, your investments, like what is that is not giving you the returns. Maybe you can sell it fast at a less loss or before it becomes a bigger loss and things like that. So a lot of strategy, a lot of clarity, a lot of, seeing the situation for what it is, being very direct about it, not rude, but direct about it in a calm way, in a compassionate way. So I do feel that you've been avoiding some kind of decisions. Maybe it was too bold, but this knife will help you, make the decision, and, and it's going to be for the good. It's going to be for the good, and I feel that people are, going to feel that there was a need to, cut off something or to change something or to release something. And you came up with this idea or you decided to, release something. Now, that could be in your family relations, whatever. It could be at work, your processes, habits, and when it comes to knife, yes, it's sharp. And the clarity sometimes hurts. Truth, sometimes it hurts, but, the truth also will set us free. And I feel that you have been waiting for the right moment. I feel that now you feel that it's better to be honest. It's better to be, to be very honest, to be precise with what you're saying, how you're doing things, and all of that, the right time, the way it's done, all of that is going to matter right now. And I feel that this is, I don't think you use this continuously. It sounds like all the time you're using this knife. I feel that after a long time debating, with the Lovers and the Reverse, there's been a decision that you have been wanting to make. And now, with this clarity, I feel that you're ready to, you've identified what exactly needs cutting. So it's a good energy. I feel that it's very measured, it's thought through. And there's lots that we need to sometimes, let go of because there's something more better, something more powerful, something, whether it's a job, whether it's a habit, whether it's a lifestyle or spending, whatever that is, it could be a pattern that needs to be, changed and released. So some of you could be fixing that as well. Or this could be like, maybe if you're in the law enforcement or, defending people or bringing justice in some way, shape, or form, maybe it's the city laws or city or the country or state, whatever it is, you are standing up for truth because you have clarity. Or maybe you're trying to change the policies because some policies are not working. Maybe it's at work. Maybe some processes are not working. Some of you could be in some kind of, like martial arts or something. It's a lot of martial arts energy. For some of you could be learning that as well. Because it's a lot of precision energy that's coming through. So, martial arts also is all about being precise and things. I also feel that there's a lot of Saturnian energy, Saturn energy, because it's an Aries right now. And, I already mentioned before that Taurus is going to feel the pressure of that energy because Aries is your neighboring sign. Now, with that protective energy, now for those of you that might have Aries in your charts, could be somewhere in your charts, if you have that element or that placement that's prominent, also it might be impacting you. Now with the Saturn energy, it's like Saturn builds a protective structure. So when this knife cuts, it's not going to go too far. So I do feel that there's going to be momentum, fast movement. It could be like vendors or your company business partners that, have increased the prices of services or something like that, and you feel there's a better deal available in the market. So you got to pull the plug right sometime. Like, okay, this vendor is like costing us too much, and there's less margins. There is, or maybe they don't have good quality of material that they're sending to you, and you're like, this is kind of causing a lot of issues, quality problems and all of that. So you're like, maybe they have some resource problems, and that's what's causing them to provide like, under no, low quality or subpar raw materials or something like that. And you're like, okay, I have another vendor. I'm going to, get my raw materials from that. So it could be at a professional level as well. This can also be you writing something that brings clarity to people, like news writers, they write blogs and articles that brings clarity that actually, or books, maybe you're writing books or you're reading books that's providing some clarity. Maybe it's a deeper issue, maybe it's something else, maybe it's related to a skill or related to market condition or a situation in your city, town, country, whatever, and you read a book about something and it gives you more clarity. It could be that as well. So you'll stumble upon some article where, reading, it could also be that you read something, or maybe you're writing something that provides clarity to other people, that helps them decide. Yeah, so, or it maybe could be that you're documenting things like what's not working at work so that you could go another way, try another process, and things like that. A closure is needed for processes that are not producing or productive. Processes and things like that. So that could be the same for some of you. I feel there are a lot of single liners that a lot of people have written, and those single liners are more awakening than reading big books. It's like, for example, like we say, the hindsight is 2020, which means that when you look back and you analyze, then you understand what happened and why it, happened the way it did. So looking back is more, we can get more clarity. So things like that. Some one-liners that give more clarity than big explanations. For some of you, it could match the energy of the knife because small cuts, precise cuts, but again, it, tells you something which is much, much more deeper and honest. It has like the undercurrent, which is like spilling the beans or giving more data or telling the truth rather than providing big documents or writing big books. It could be that as well. For some of you, it could be contracts, whether your contract or some other contracts in your company that need change, that need to go because the company closed or something like that. So I feel that in the next few days, you'll be more direct, like not beating around the bush. It's going to be more direct. And I also feel that it's going to be a decisive point that you're going to put, and that you're going to convey. Very precise so that there is no room for error or confusion. And the last card for today, Virgo, you have is a message from Cosmos. And it says, your time is coming. Everything is coming together for you, but you must meet the universe halfway. Hold only a bright and happy vision of yourself with successful outcomes, and don't allow your fears or insecurities to stand in your way. I feel that you might have to use a knife to cut out your fears and insecurities, Virgos. Because I feel that, you've been patient, you've been waiting for a long time. And maybe you have been on the sidelines, you've been observing. This can also be like, you thinking the right thoughts, having the clarity of thoughts, positive visions, like vision boards, your goals, and positive visions even about your own self. That will lead to better outcomes for you. So don't downplay yourself or your ideas. And I feel that you have something in mind that maybe you've been thinking, it's been on your mind, or it could have just come like about a day or two. Maybe you put your aha moment. It could be a sudden understanding of something, So For some of you, it could be sudden. For some of you, you've been like, observing or writing things or, talking to people in negotiations, getting the team on board, thinking second thoughts, third thoughts, and all of that. And then finally, the team is on board and decided that, the old route is not working anymore. We need to cut that out and we need to go the newer way. It could be that, it could be an upgrade. It could be a change of direction. So I also feel that this could be cutting out what is not useful for you. Like if you have a packed schedule and you have like unnecessary commitments, you could be cutting that out as well and saving up on some energy because you feel that those unnecessary commitments are just eating into your time, that you need to create something. And once you let go of those and those commitments that are not a value add, maybe you can invest more time into your own job projects or side hustles and get more successful outcomes. So it can play out in several different ways. This can also be in regards to your neighborhood. Maybe something, maybe something is like, maybe a drain has been overflowing or something like that. And you've been reporting it for a while and nobody was paying attention to it. Maybe now it gets noticed and that dream gets fixed and that issue gets cut out. So it could be that issues are cut out as well. So some issue that has been lingering in your life, finally it gets cut out or it gets fixed. So I feel that so things are coming together. And I feel it's because you've been discerning, you've been using the knife for clarity. It's like an Ace of Swords moment at the same time. But it needs to be done in a very calm, gentle, compassionate way. Don't be too hard on yourself and others, and you'll see the positive, the things, the positive outcomes. So Virgo, those were your messages and hope you enjoyed them. Now moving on to the sign of Capricorn. So the first card you have, Capricorn, is the Justice. And this is major arcana. Now, if you see, there is two images. The upper image is about this justice figure that's sitting on this beautiful cemented throne, solid structure. And, at the bottom, it's like a different kind of an energy, a little darker, right? It's like this golden flower, if you see, it's kind of just falling away. And, somebody that has received justice, like, it's kind of facing the scales, I would say. And the above picture for you, it's in the upright. The floor, if you see, it's like black and white, like a chessboard, like checkers. Which, of course, it's black and white is always about balancing the opposites. And if you see on the wall to her right-hand side of this justice figure, there is a small heart out there. And then there is teardrops, which is 3 teardrops precisely that's hanging on this wall. Now, teardrops signifies like the emotions that come with the true justice that is served. Sometimes it's painful. Sometimes there is so much happiness that it's the tears of happiness, the tears of justice that flow. So it's that emotional feeling or outpour that comes when justice is served. And I feel that for you, Capricorn, your ruler is Saturn. And for the most part, I feel, Saturn is an accountant, right? And it gives us a long time for us to process things, to fix things. And I feel in the next few days, all those things are going to come to a balance for you. All the accounts being settled in kind of a balancing act, and everything that you've been putting your energy into, everything that you have endured so far, I feel now it's time for you to get the benefits of it. It's like you've been working really hard and something really beautiful and extraordinary is happening for you in the next few days. Capricorn. I feel that all the structure is the processes that you have built. It's like when you're under the Saturn period, Saturn will encourage you to build solid foundations and structures. And at the end of the period, there is a little bit of an assessment that Saturn does so that, the structure that you have created is solid, is for the long term, is stable, it's sustainable, and all of that. And I feel there's a little bit of test around that. Now, some of you could actually be building something around the legal system. Maybe you are tweaking the laws, maybe you're changing the laws, there's amendments and all of that. So some of you could be working towards that as well. Or you could be in the, legal department that's fighting for the rights, or, fighting for the changes in the system or something like that, because you feel it's going to be for the better of community and or your clients or something. And I feel those results are also going to be coming in very soon. For some of you, this actually could be the accounts being settled, like in terms of monetary transactions. Maybe somebody borrowed money, it's about to be returned to you. Maybe you invested somewhere in a solid foundation, and maybe you're going to see the results. So this could be material results and, settlements as well. And if you see over here, this justice is not blindfolded. So it's very, this justice has like the clarity, it sees the ground reality, it understands what's going on, to the depth of it, to the core of it, to the bare bones. And then it's balancing the scales. So this, whatever justice is going to come, it's going to be unbiased, it's going to be impartial, it's going to be fair and square for everybody that's involved. And you're going to get positive rewards for all the efforts that you have been putting in, Capricorn. For some of you, this could be at work, that you have been pouring your heart and soul, working day and night, doing the grind, and you have not got any acknowledgement or recognition or any raise or, any kind of praise for that. And I feel that that's about to come about for you. I mean, whatever you have put, the efforts you have put in will be recognized. Maybe you'll get some rewards, awards, pay raises, or something like that. But your work is going to be acknowledged very soon. You'll be seen for the amount of work that you have put in. Now, if this is not your energy, Capricorn, you'll probably see some kind of justice going on around you. Maybe it's like, policies that are coming that are in the favor of people, policies that had loopholes that are being fixed, so that the people that have been wrongly wronged and now are getting justice. So you might hear some things around your city or your country happening along those lines as well. Now, for some of you that are in the financial area, there might be some auditing that's actually happening by some systems, and you might be getting the correct assessment or money or some kind of balancing of the finances as well. Now, for some of you, this could be people, that have been on the wrong side, that have been unfair or something like that. They might reach out there. Those scores might be settled as well. But it's also a good time for some kind of disputes. If there were some, tax or some property or some, some lawsuits or something like that, I feel that it's a good time, and you will see positive results around that. It's just that if there is any receipts or any documents related to any settlements, then you need to take stock of that and make sure that you have it in the presentable form. Now, for some of you that are business owners, you might see that maybe people wrongly accused you, maybe that the raw materials were not good, or there was some ethos practice that was violated or something like that. And I feel that if this was like turned against you in the past, I feel that things have been corrected, fixed, and now positive justice will be served in those areas as well. The only thing is, make sure that you're reading the fine prints, reading all the details, and understanding before you finally sign on the dotted line. Also make sure that, if you are the one that's making decisions or balancing scales, then you need to be fair and square, without any preferences. So a lot of record keeping, and I feel that a lot of clarity, a lot of, things that were unresolved, unsolved, situations of the past are now, I feel that will be solved. It's a good time to resolve those as well. Long-standing issues will be resolved. For some of you, this could be in regards to some, documents or institutions that had your, that maybe you had applied for something and the results were not out yet. I feel that once once those processing is done, then the scales will tip in your favor, especially for if you've been applying to any college, universities, institutions, jobs, and things like that, and you feel you haven't heard back from them. I feel it's time that the good news is coming and things are going to work in your favor. This can also be about relations or some kind of responsibilities. Maybe there was an, imbalance or some unequal distribution and all of that. I feel that that will be discussed and those issues will finally be resolved. For some of you, this could be, people that have been mean or unjust to you, and people around have noticed that, and I feel that some people might come up, support you, stand in your favor, or kind of, observe and know that you were in the right. So some things might get, revealed to you along those lines as well. But a lot of recalibration, a lot of fairness energy over here, a lot of honesty, a lot of assessments, positive, honest assessments, will be done in the next few days. For some of you, if you have been denied some kind of rights or, some kind of rights that got violated, or, maybe you didn't get your fair share or something, or maybe you have, or maybe you did a lot and you were not recognized, honored, or something like that. And I feel whatever was owed back to you is coming, it's on its way to you, Capricorn. So the next card you have, Capricorn, is the card of identity. It says identity, Angela Carter. And that's the Angela Carter in the picture. Further down it says, you have been so extraordinarily good at wearing the expected costume, the professional, the responsible, the structured, the reliable, that some part of you may have forgotten that the claws are also yours. The wolf is also you, and the wolf is not something to be ashamed of. The wolf is part of you that built the empire while everyone else was looking at the dress. Okay, so, this reminds me of the Wolf in the Red Riding Hood, for those of you that have seen the movie. Now, if you recall that or not, you can watch the movie again, but the wolf in that movie is not really the villain. The wolf is that, that part of that girl, the Red Riding Hood, that has been told to be afraid of itself. The beast, the beast in that movie is not really the monster. The beast is exactly what happens when, a genuine person like you is forced to wear a mask for the longest time. That is accepted by the society. That's what happens to a normal person when you're playing so many roles. That's what happens. Now, from what I know about Angela Carter is, she was a writer, right? This dress is very Victorian, white dress, so in that era. And then there's these blood drops which are falling from her dress, along the neckline. I feel that, and above there are claws. The claws are not really on her. They're kind of protecting her. So I feel that, it's all about the imposed identity, I feel here, Capricorn. When you have to wear the costumes of, expected genders, like you could be a masculine, you have to wear that costume of expected male, or if you're a female, expected female, how you're supposed to behave, how the male is supposed to behave, how the female is supposed to behave, and all of that. When you wear those masks, it's that kind of energy. So there is something which is changing. There is a transformation which is happening for you. You're rewriting the narrative. You are the redefining, yourself or the role that you play in your family, in your household, in the society, in the community. I think there is something which is changing out here for you, Capricorn, in a big, big way. So I do feel that, so I feel this is like a revelation moment, no? I mean, of course, it's for yourself because you have undergone a transformation, but it's also for the people around you. Now they're starting to see what's underneath of you. So, I'm picking up the energy of, Abiku. For those of you that have heard about Abiku, Abiku is like a creature that is in between the earthy plane and the spiritual world, like a shapeshifter. So the identity cannot be really defined by some, box or some category. You cannot categorize Amiku. It's that kind of an energy. For the most part, I also feel like wearing so many hats, having so many identities, being very flexible, adaptable, and whichever environment you are, you're adapting. You're wearing that mask in that environment, of that environment. So I feel that in the next few days, it's going to be like, a self-evaluation, a self-assessment, a self-reflection in terms of your identity, who you are at the core of yourself. Sometimes we just are in such a performative spirit that we, start to perform according to societal expectations. So I feel that in the next few days, especially when it comes to wolves, right, which is shown in this picture. And if you have seen Angelo Cardo's work, it's mainly she deals with, animals and all of that. But since wolf is here in this picture, wolves are very unique. They all have their unique sounds, and each wolf, though, when they howl, every other wolf can tell, like, which wolf is actually howling, because, like, just all of us, we have unique voices. We can identify, and it's just like the voice, like, even if the person is not visible on the phone or, if we hear the voice, recorded voice, we can tell who it is. So that cannot be hidden. Our voice cannot be, masked. It's our true identity. So similarly, I think equivalent to that, like, whoever you are from the core, I feel that's your unique identity. That is not really meant to be hidden. It's like, it's unique, it's yours, it's irreplaceable, you're unique. So I do feel that there is something being rewritten, a narrative or your own story, from the inside out. It's like, you were playing a certain type of a person, like now you're trying to come out of it. There's a transformation, it's like you're not going to be what people, the role that you have in King is going to be shifting now, or the way you do it is going to be shifting. Something around that, you don't need to suppress what you truly feel. You don't need to manage your emotions, you don't need to be contained in that costume. Just be yourself, fully, completely, unapologetically yourself. And I feel that you're stepping into that energy. You're integrating all of those things, like of the past, what works for you, what identity, how you like it, what you're able to sustain, and all of that. And now you're coming out, emerging as the integrated true self. This is also about our childhood conditioning. As like childs were like told, oh, don't do this, don't do that. In terms of expressing your sentiments, your anger, your desires, and whatever it is, even if it meant like your ambitions. And, maybe you were told like, no, don't do this, it's not right. Do it like this, do it like that. This is not the right career, this, that, and the third. So you were living and you were molded by what other people wanted of you. And now, after so many years of playing those roles, being that way, what other people wanted to see of you, you've forgotten who you truly are. You don't even know who you truly are, I feel. So now I feel is the time where you are going to be, learning about yourself, understanding who you truly are, and then rewriting your narratives in the way how you want to present yourself and who you're going to become and how you're going to do certain things. What's the role? What is the role that you will play? What should be expected out of you? And what is it that you won't just be obligated to do just because people wanted a certain type of week from you? So I feel it's that kind of identity movement that's going on inside of you, Capricorn. And why not? In today's times, we are living in a world where people love and appreciate authenticity. They like genuine connections. They like, authenticity. They like it like, a transparency. Nobody wants, hidden things, hidden points or terms and conditions and all of that. Everybody wants transparency. So it could happen that, you were the nice girl or you played nice girl, nice boy, being kind, polite, all of those good things all the time. And then one day when you're like, something clicks in you and you go into the room or the meeting room or your house or somebody's house and you say something which is so precise, so accurate, so true. And everybody in the room goes silent and everybody's like, you were not that. I mean, where did that come from, It's the inner wolf of you that's talking, Capricorn, Maybe nobody asked your opinion, and here you are, you're like, enough, I'm going to say it as it is, what I feel. Nobody asked for my opinion. Nobody does most of the time, but I'm going to say it, and it's going to be so true that it's going to shut people up. So I do feel that you're, kind of changing things up. Maybe some things that you've been doing in a certain type of way is going to shift up. It could be your choices are changing, the way you dress up is changing, where you go, what you do is changing and all of that. So some things around that could also be, changing inside of you. But with your honest speech and opinions, I feel, Capricorn, you will be recognized by your peers or by your, higher-ups as an asset, not as a liability. So I feel that people are going to see the shift in you. You're going to become more visible. And I feel that, who you are from the core is going to spill out and people are going to appreciate that version of you. Sometimes when we're in a professional setup, people can see the real version of us until we go out, hang out with those people for happy hours or just go for some movie and things like that. And then we say something and people just discover the real version of you. And, they find it so appealing and magnetic. They're like, oh my God, the things, the actions, the words that you say, unguarded, when you are like your real raw self and you say those things, people actually understand where you're coming from and the true you beneath the costume that you have been wearing or people have assumed you to be a certain type of way. Now you're like, outgrowing that costume, or people are seeing the person underneath the costume. This can also be that your professional career is changing, the position you are in or the roles that you played or the companies or something like that. Maybe your professional identity is going through a alignment with what you want and who you truly are, which is recognizing your genuine capabilities. Each of us has been born with certain capabilities and people now recognize the capabilities in you. Maybe you're getting visibility or people in your higher-ups are seeing like what you're truly capable of. Further down it says, she is the costume and the wolf. She is the blood and the white card. She is the thorns and the fruit. She is complete. And the last card for today, Capricorn, you have is a message from Cosmos, and it says, you are safe, you are protected, the worst is behind you, and you are ready to move beyond the challenges that were set for you. The lessons have been learned. It is safe for you to trust your path. So you were in the making, like Saturn, teaching lessons, creating identity structures, you putting in the work because Saturn will challenge you. It's the guru. It teaches us, to create solid structures. I feel you've put in the work. You have created those. And that was not easy, It takes a lot to create a solid foundation. It crumbles. We have to assemble it back again. Try new different things, try new different ways, align with different people, processes. We have to rethink, reflect, and all of that. It's a tedious process of coming to the final structure, because things don't align right the first time. But you still kept plugging at it. You kept trying things. You kept fixing things that were broken. You kept testing new things, understanding, learning, even the lessons in real life with people, and all of that is learned. And the worst is behind you, and now you're protected, the blessings are here. So it says, yeah, the story is yours, the pen is in your hand. So Capricorn, those were your messages and hope you enjoyed them. So thank you guys for joining. Please subscribe and hit the like if you enjoyed the content, and I will see you in the next one. Take care, guys. Bye for now.